Yeah, so this shows you. I guess I'm a terrible Marvel guy.
Oh man.
But it's not the mini version. You can see it's the freaking, yeah, it's damn big as my head.
Well, maybe that's why it looks small because it's next to your big head.
Oh shit. It's a mid number. They said they made 5,000 of them.
That's cool though.
So what's funny is I got this, and then my friend hooked me up. All right, so you saw that. You set him down here because he's in the box. I hadn't even figured where I'm gonna put it yet. Then my friend hooked me up with these. Okay, little bitty gray boxes, right?
Yep.
You got any idea?
Let me blow up your head there. Are those the oh, let me see. Are those the chess pieces?
No.
They're bigger than chess pieces.
These
Did you get
are the
did you get the Fantastic Four?
these are the Eagle Moss
Oh, that's
uh,
nice.
Marvel figures. So there's the man thing. Quit looking at my man thing. Then I got
The Watcher.
yep. One I got, which is absolutely badass.
Oh, cool. His skirt was like glowing, like really bright in the camera.
Yeah, it's kind of like a metallic paint on it. So they're really cool. But I don't know where I'm gonna put them all. One of them things, hell, I'll figure it out eventually. The peanut gallery's live tonight.
The Pony Gallery.
Yeah, they done all had their damn naps. You know, some of us have to work for a living. So. uh, but yeah, got this. I went to the comic book shop, picked up a few other odds and ends. Um, nothing, nothing great though. I was kind of still having a damn problem trying to find a Devil's Ring #2 without ordering one off of eBay or something else and paying some
Hmm.
crazy amount of shipping for it. I was hoping to get one at the comic book shop when I went to it the other day, but they were sold out. So I'm like, really? I'm
Well,
just gonna. I may have to go just read it digitally online,
read
and
it
then
digitally and then get a copy afterwards.
yeah, I got the first like 4 issues, but I missed it. I did get the last issue of the new Elektra Woman Without Fear, uh, or Elektra Man Without Fear, whichever one they're calling it, series. And I was reading it, and it was pretty good. But I just haven't had a chance. I've been running around doing everything. But
Yeah.
I
I
did.
know.
I worked real late yesterday, so it kind of threw us off for reading this. But I got home and I did read it last night. Um, did you read the intro to this book?
Uh, I started to.
What does that mean?
That means I got about halfway through the intro and I was like, okay, I just want to read this book.
Well, I read the intro, and what was kind of funny is I mean, this is it's early '80s, wasn't it like '84 or something like that when this come out?
Mm-hmm. Well,
80.
if we're gonna dive into the book, let's do this. The video. Oh, that's why. I was like, what in the? Okay, like I was saying before, I realized that I had been big in Thomas. Uh, welcome to OK Boomer.
The podcast.
There we go.
But yeah, so I read the intro, and you picked last week this is like the third Marvel graphic novel. Uh, Dreadstar, 48
yeah.
pages.
I didn't realize this was the third part of like a much bigger Starlin story.
Holy crap, dude! Yeah, that shit blew my mind. Excuse my language, but yes, and I have not read the parts before this. What's funny is all the Dreadstar I read is after the story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything is after it. I mean, they talk about the church and the intergalactic empire, the whole 9 yards. He's got a whole cast of people. This is almost an origin story, but
Mm-hmm.
not really, because if you read the introduction, there are two more parts before this story.
Mm-hmm.
And the other parts I'm actually interested in looking. So there's the cover. It's a front and back wraparound cover for the graphic novel. And if you can't tell, hopefully you can tell for looking at the picture if you're watching this on YouTube or one of those other places. It's painted. The whole book is painted.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yes, it is really nice. But yeah, so the Metamorphosis Odyssey, book 3. Published 82. Okay, 1982. And written, illustrated by Jim Starlin, lettered by Tom Orzechowski, edited by Goodwin and Duffy, and Jim Shooter was the editor in chief at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking a while ago, and here's the introduction that you said you read half of it and kind of fell asleep. This explains a lot of kind of what goes on the two parts before this.
Yeah.
And then it also kind of gives a backstory of Starlin coming to Marvel from Detroit and kind of quickly running up the rings in the the Marvel hierarchy. The thing that really got me here is uh, this is 10 years ago, so this book was published in 82, so we're talking 72, 73 is when Starlin started at Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is when you come in and you look at a lot of the people that are coming, he said a bunch of writers who were coming from and around Detroit that were coming in. I'm going to blow it up here so everybody can see it if they're looking. And he says they were coming up in town. The ones that were already there were Wrightston, Weiss, Wine, Wolfman, Barry Smith, Chaikin, and Bates. And then right behind Starlin came Milgram, Gerber, Plog, Russell, Simonson, Kaluta, and they were even more than that. And I did not know that that freaking Starlin's first job was laying out John Romita's Spider-Man. I mean,
Senior Spider-Man, not
yeah, senior, not junior, seniors.
not
I mean,
not
this
Junior,
is
who at some point, as we've spoken before, forgets completely how to draw and
yeah.
just cross hatches everything.
But the thing that's funny is this shows Marvel's one. This gives you a list of the amount of people that actually were coming into Marvel at the time,
Yeah.
and telling you what's going on. I mean, they really were attracting the best talent in the industry, but also shows you how Marvel worked. Because if you remember, another person we've talked about on the podcast before, one of my all-time favorites, his job when he first got to Marvel was doing Kirby's layouts in freaking Strange Tales, and that was Steranko. So I mean, literally, they're doing the same thing to Starlin that they did to Steranko. Hey, I want you to do all the layouts, because you remember that's how after just 3 or 4 issues with Steranko, then they kind of turned it over to him, and he started writing and drawing them. And they do the same thing here. They moved. Uh, they talk about, if you read the whole introduction, Captain Marvel had went to pot the series with the Kree Captain Marvel. For those who don't know what we're talking about, not Shazam, not the
Mhm.
original Captain Marvel, but the book it just went to pot, and they removed Starlin and put him on it with issue number 25, which is, that's like the damn Thanos story for Captain Marvel. It's a
Mhm.
huge book. Um, and then after that, he keeps going. And he does Adam Warlock. I mean, everything. If you've never read the Warlock series that Starlin did, which I'm pretty sure you have, right?
Yeah, I've read the trade.
Okay, so yeah, it's freaking awesome. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
so the other two parts of this book that are amazing is, so the first part of this story is in Epic Magazine, and it was a chapter by chapter. It ran from spring 1980 through December 81, and there we learn. It says, okay, so that's where it run, and there we learned Dreadstar became the sole survivor of an obliterated Milky Way galaxy. So Dreadstar's actually, Vance is actually from our galaxy. The next part of the story was The Price, which was published by Eclipse Enterprises, and you know is billed as Eclipse, and it told the story, an unrelated story of uh, Ziggy Darklock, an unrelated tale until its final pages, which Darklock meets Dreadstar. Okay, and so now that takes us up to the point where we are now. So you get those two parts. First one is all Vance. We find out where he is, and then we get Ziggy's story. And now the third part is the graphic novel that we're reading today, and that comes together and brings both of them together. The thing that's cool is also, if you read in here, because the actual introduction is by Englehart, which did God, he did Master Kung Fu. God, he did so much stuff. Huge guy. But he actually talks at one point. He said that he got Starlin had asked him to start scripting um, the to scripting his Captain Marvel stories to back off while he was working on other stuff, and then he come back. I guess Marvel just let him come back and do whatever after that, and he just showers praise on Starlin left and right this whole thing, and he says,
Mhm.
so here it goes, and now we're ready for the intro, and he had Starlin, he says, has taken from drawing to go into a full painted style in this book. And
Oh
this is
yeah.
the first book where he goes in full painted style. I mean, and it is very nice. And I don't say it's 80s, but it's very nice, and it's 80s. This is not the hyper realism that we get from Alex Ross and some of the other painted comic book creators that work today. Uh, you can still tell, this is. You can actually see if you look. It's kind of hard to see on the screen, but if you blow it up, you can see the pebble on the canvas where he paints these.
Oh yeah, it's just amazing, and the art in this is just so gorgeous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the art's really nice. The story is really, really good, but kind of damn depressing when we get to the end of it because it opens up and Vance is kind of just wandering this planet, and he's alive, but he's been injured. We know he's got. You can see a little blood on his leg there, but he's wandering this planet, and trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And he finally gets so upset, and he's kind of like tired of fighting at this point that he takes his sword, which is so famous, it's in all the other stuff, and buries it in the ground. I thought, because when I read the other stories, and I haven't read a whole lot of Dreadstar, I thought it was a regular sword. It's not a regular sword. It's some
No.
kind of magical, you know, super technological something sword. Uh, but yeah, he leaves the sword, buries it in the ground, hoping that he can get away from it. And they even say when he walks away here at this bottom panel, he's like, "Of course he's wrong that he can't get away from it." He just wants to forget everything and wanders off until he just passes out. And once passes out, he's found by these cat people who I remembered some of the other stories. They're a little freaky drawn in here, but let's be honest.
Yeah, it's like somebody put out a dish for Morris because he's gonna come back and eat us alive.
So yeah, the cat people uh, find him, and they don't know what to do with him at first, and they say one of them says, "Hey, we'll take him back to Tallulah. She's human. She'll know what to do." And then the story opens up. Sometime later, we find out that it's a receipt that the planet is actually a research center, Delta 219. It was once a top secret military organization, but over the last couple decades, it's just now kind of been forgotten, and it has evolved into a village, small city of people. Um, uh, and they talk about Delula has been here for 12 cycles, so I'm going to guess that's years. Um, she arrived here with her husband, who we find out as we read the story has actually passed away. He died. Um, and as the story goes on, uh, we learn the research station was actually set up by the galactic empire to breed a perfect warrior. So they mixed humans and cats, trying to get the intelligence of humans and the toughness and the dexterity and ferociousness of the cats, and they ended up breeding these cat creatures. So Delula is the only human on the planet other than Vance, who they just found, and they have no idea how he got there.
Yeah, they're all walking around like kitty cat Jedi's.
Kitty cat Jedi. Order 47 kills the kittens?
Order 77, I guess, because 66 killed all the Jedi.
I don't know what it is. They kill all the kittens. Um, so they talk to her. They're kind of discussing Vance with Tallulah, and we find out that they bring him back, and he's been shot with was it a gamma gun of some kind, atomic. Uh, he's been shot with a radiation gun essentially, and it's gone through and it's poisoned his system. And they're pretty sure he's gonna die. There's nothing we can do other than make him comfortable. It's amazing he's still alive. And Vamp lives. Now he's in terrible pain for about a week. And on the seventh day, it's like his fever breaks and he starts to get better. And eventually, as he gets better, he just, starts smoking around and then eventually gets up and starts to move. And, he'll go outside and, he cries and screams at the sky and everything. And finally, Delula comes to him and starts talking to him. And he tells her a little bit about his past, but nothing makes any sense to her. She's just like, I don't understand any of this. While he's just angry. And all this is honestly Dreadstar's just dealing with the amount of people he's killed in the other stories that we haven't read. I don't know if they're collected. It's something we may need to look into.
Yeah.
Because it seems really cool. So, she's talking out here, and one of her cat friends asked her, he says, are you sure, he obviously some kind of warrior, are you sure we want him around? He doesn't seem to remember a whole lot of stuff because, he's trying to put it out of his mind and forget a lot of it. And Delula says, I really don't care, who he was in the past because I really like who he's becoming. And then we find out that Vamp and her are slowly developing a relationship of some kind. At first you think, is it, friendship or whatever. And then as the story progresses, of course, we see him, he's a mechanic. He can fix anything. He's got the strength of 10 men, the whole 9 yards. After they talk, she lays out, because he doesn't know what the hell's going on either. He's from Earth or the Milky Way galaxy and doesn't exactly know where he is. So she lays out here the whole rigmarole and talks about the galaxy. Some of this I have a little problem reading. So, you can help me out here. But, yeah, she talks about the monarchy and the instrumentality. Now, the monarchy is essentially the empire. And the instrumentality, if I remember right from the Dreadstar I've read after this, is the church.
Yep.
Right? Okay, so all right, because I was forgetting that, and then reading this was a little hard because the lettering could be a lot better in this book. Let's be honest. The art's good, story's great. Lettering is difficult to read in this one. And it may be because they were trying to show more of the art. I'm not sure, but it just wasn't great. But she goes on and says that the monarchy and the instrumentality have been at war for hundreds of years. And their economies are based, the galactic economies are based solely on war. And the war will never end because if they were to be without a war and transition to a peacetime economy, these systems could not deal with it and they would collapse and go into free fall. So no one ever wants to stop the war.
Until now.
Yeah. And actually not even until now. Because as she tells him all this is where she spills the beans about the cat people that were, created on the planet and all. And, he asked her, well, what about your, why are you the only person here? Well, I come with my husband and he dies. She says, he come to study on the university grant. He was killed six years ago, 6 cycles. It was a monarchy scout ship. But she stayed on to finish his work, and was when she was finished with it, she was actually going to leave and go back to her home, but with Vance here, she can, she you can tell she's decided, no, I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna stay on around here now because Vance doesn't, Dreadstar has nowhere to go. Uh, and you know, this is where they actually finally get together and kiss and profess that they actually are starting to feel something for one another. And he once he does that, he decides, I'm going to stay here also. He is completely trying to forget his past. And
Yeah,
of course
he doesn't want anything to do with it.
no, nothing at all. So they go back to their little their house, and that's when he's woken up in the middle of the night, and there in the room across from him is his sword glowing. And he kind of reaches out and touches it, and he even talks to it. He says, I thought about trying to leave you behind, but you've come back to me, and this is where he takes it into. And a little later in the book, they explain. That's why I was saying it's like an origin. We discover that he found the sword, years ago, and the sword can be absorbed into his body, and he can just call it forward. And not only can he do that, but the sword gives him immortality, gives him the strength of 10 to 20 men, increases his healing, and then it can absorb any kind of radiation that comes at it, and kind of feeds it to him, and then it will allow him to discharge it at will.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a hell of a lot more than a regular sword.
Oh yeah, it's a super being all its own, basically.
Yeah. So he's got the sword, absorbs it back into his body, and of course Tallulah wakes up and she's like, "Hey, is everything all right?" And he says, "Yeah, go back to sleep." He says, "I just, it was something I was remembering, something that I'd forgotten, but it came back to me." Um, so now we fast forward, and it's been I'll say a couple cycles, like 1 or 2 cycles, and Vance and Tallulah are obviously they're a couple at this point. They have grown really close, and he's now trusted by the whole
Community.
village. Yeah, the community, the village, whatever you want to say, is he helps them farm, fixes all their equipment, everything. Um, and as such, they proceed on until one night they see a ship crash. Somebody is messaging me to death. Oh
Yeah.
Lord. Sorry, one of my college professors passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. Well, the ship that crashes ends up being Xerxes' ship. The
Yep.
the tall, skinny, skull facey dude who was actually the subject of the second part of this space trilogy,
Yes.
and
And his ship.
ends up becoming his mentor. He lives and he's got like this weird interdimensional igloo.
It's bigger on the inside. It's
Yeah,
like Doctor
it's
Who's house.
it's like it's Yoda's house. It's like
Yeah,
the
it
House
looks.
of Mystery and Yoda's hut all wrapped together.
Damn it. You know what's funny is I kind of it makes me want to. I've got a bunch of Dreadstar I haven't read of the series after this, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes me want to read some more of it because when they go out to talk to him, um, you know, Ziggy knows pretty much everything about Van, and that's why he's come to this planet and crashed there. And he's wanting to offer his services. I'll mentor you. I'll tell you everything. It'll all be fine. Everything. Um, but he constantly refers to himself as a wizard, and it makes me wonder how much magic and technology are kind of mixed together in this sci-fi, the sci-fi world that Star Wars
Hmm.
created here. But yeah, he goes out and he talks to Ziggy there, and he says, hey, tell them everything will be fine. You know, I'll stay here. But he tells them also, don't have the cat people come out here to see me. If they come see me, it could be dangerous. Um, and I'll stay over here in my hut, and you'll come back and talk to me, twice a month, once every 2 weeks. And Dreadstar's like, not a, okay, not a problem. So he goes back and tells the village, and he says, he's no danger, but I'll come and see him, see what he wants. And
Hmm.
he even tells him, he says, I just think he wants a friend. Of course, we know he's some kind of weird alien because he doesn't look like anybody else in the book right now, or something. He's got that thing on his eyeball.
Yeah, well, he's like, I don't know, like half his skull is gone, and he's got like cyborg pieces on him, and but he's a wizard.
Yeah.
Or how come he couldn't wizard his health back so he looked normal?
maybe he didn't want no lips to show his teeth.
Yeah,
Easier to brush.
he's got to smell awful because he got rid of his nose.
He's he got rid of his nose. Yeah, he doesn't have a nose. He's rocking the Red Skull look there. Uh, so now the story progresses again, and we find out that it's been quite some time that has passed, and every 2 weeks, uh, Vance goes out to see Ziggy, and they talk and talk overnight and get drunk and have a good time. But all the while, Ziggy is actually this fountain of knowledge and is teaching uh, uh, Dreadstar everything he needs to know about the galaxy, about farming, about weapons, about the monarchy, anything and everything he can teach him, he's doing it. And even here to a little bit, Delula's a little upset. Hey, what do you keep going out to? And he says, hey, I just go out. Don't worry. I'll always come back, and I'll come dragging in drunk, but it's only once every 2 weeks. Um, he even explains to her that all their crops have gotten better over everything that he's taught him. So he's actually taught him a lot of stuff he's using now. But when he goes to the ship this time, you know, and gets in there, uh, Ziggy pretty much tells him, okay, um, this is kind of one of our last meetings, as you have to make a decision whether you're going to stay here or if you're going to do what the galaxy wants you to do because you're an important person in the galaxy and leave this planet and we can go and do great things. But Vance doesn't want anything to do with it. I don't want a damn thing to do with this. I'm here. And he's got a good life. He's got Delula. They live in peace. There's plenty of food, all that. There's no kind of headache or anything. And of course, Ziggy just keeps pushing him. And then this is where we find out. It must have been in the first story, I guess. Vance actually tells him. He says, "I was, kind of controlled and manipulated by a wizard in the past, and it
Mm-hmm.
won't happen again. Uh, so, I'm not going to let it happen." And they get into a huge fight. And this is actually where we learn about the whole sword here. Uh, and, because Ziggy tells him, he says, "I know about your sword and everything." But after the big fight, Vance, just storms out. He says, just, I understand you're my friend, but, I'm gone. And Ziggy even gives Vance the little the Highlander talk here. He says, "Don't you understand? You're immortal. You know, don't you realize? You know, nothing's changed you. You know, you've got to be at least 70 years old now, and you still look like you're 30. You know, poor
Mm-hmm.
Delula. What's going to happen when she dies? You know, she's going to get the Highlander treatment. You know, sorry I couldn't give you any kids."
Yeah,
But
but
eventually, do what?
it's it's just it's the perpetual you know tale of a the Highlander basically,
Yeah,
in Highlander in space.
yeah. There's kind of is. But I now that makes me want to go back and look because there's a lot of stuff in here, and they talk about it in the introduction how Starlin said there was really no kind of culture or fan scene in Detroit. So him and his friends made their own, and that's where this kind of comes from. But there's a lot of stuff here that you could see is in the past because this is 80s. So the first series was 1980, whatever. So you can see some of the. This has got some Star Wars influences in it. You know, there's some Flash Gordon in here. This is about the time that Highlander did come out, but I mean, this is kind of an old story before. And then the sword, dude, the sword is like I don't say it's like Stormbringer from Elric. You know,
Hmm.
it's kind of feeding, it's feeding, it's feeding Vance and giving him all the strength and everything, and comes back to him. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here that you can see Starlin has taken little bits and pieces and made his own. The whole monarchy thing is it. But yes, him and Ziggy finally get into it, and he tells him, I'm not gonna be manipulated by a wizard and everything else, and storms the hell out, uh, knocks him down, and leaves. But after they leave, I mean, he literally gets outside and he sees spaceships gumming over the damn mountain, and they're bombing the village. And Ziggy tells him, he says, they're monarchy ships. Um, and he had a feeling that something terrible was going to happen, but he's not sure. So Vance just hops on his damn flyer and takes off to the village to see what in the hell has went on. And when he gets there, it's all destroyed. I mean, the whole thing. It's all
Yeah,
burnt to
it's
the ground.
leveled.
Yeah, it's been leveled. And he finds Delula freaking strung up and killed. Uh, and he has a damn breakdown. And, he calls the sword forth. And he actually finds a survivor. Not a survivor, but a survivor of the attack. One of the actual monarchy forces who had landed, kind of crash landed, and is waiting for his people to come back and get him. And Vance tortures him to tell him what the hell went on. And the guy says, they had found, information that said this was a warrior stronghold where they were training and making warriors. But all the information they have is old because the war has been going on for so long.
Hmm.
So they went out and killed the village without ever even double checking to see if the current information was there. This is a completely peaceful village. They had nothing to do with the intergalactic war or anything, and they kill everything. And then Vance kills this poor guy after he
Yeah,
tells him he would.
yeah, he's just like, you done did piss me off.
Yep.
It's like, but I answered all your questions. Yep.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna kill you so you can't tell anybody about me.
Yeah. And he freaking frags him. And of course, after he frags him, Ziggy shows up and tells him, hey, we've got to figure out what you're going to do. And, you can't run off, with anger because no matter how strong you are, if you attack the monarchy like this, they'll, you're still going to die. And he says, don't worry about it. He says, vengeance is going to suit, vengeance is going to suit this age. And, if it takes a while, I'll get it done. So he had,
Tale of vengeance is a dish best served cold.
yeah, in
I don't know why
space.
I read that like Palpatine, but
Damn it. Um, so after this, we discover that Vant manages to join uh, the monarch, and he joins the monarchy as a soldier, and quickly rises up through the ranks and becomes a captain. And as he becomes a captain, his plans for all the attacks the monarchy keeps doing gets better and better. And his latest attack, after the story goes on, is a complete success. They rout the instrumentality. They rout them and send them back, and he gets called forward, and they essentially are going to send him to another area because his plans and such are so good that they're afraid he could actually bring an end to the war, and they can't have that happen either.
so they're sending him to the palace to
Yeah,
be part of the elite guard, and he's like, perfect.
yeah,
Now I can kill them all.
yeah. I'll get to the game. Not a problem. This was all a ruse anyway. So yeah, he gets sent to the palace um, as the guard, and there when he gets to the palace, this is where this is the uniform I kind of remember of Dreadstar in. I've seen the other one from the book, but all the stories I've read, he's in this kind of like hoodie. Um, and he moves in and goes to look for the actual leader of this division, King Nelor, who's actually the person who sent out the people that killed his village and Dulula. Um, so he heads out to kill Nelor, and of course he lays waste to the damn robots that are protecting him, and runs them off. Makes it in there, and actually, of course, there's Nelor. He tells him he's come for him, and he kills him. Of course, after he kills him, everybody runs and tells his son that is it his son or his nephew? I can't remember now. No, Prince Gregor. So it's his son. So he
Yeah.
sends off and tells the prince, his son, that your father's been killed and you are now the ruler of this portion of the galaxy. But everybody knows the son is an idiot. And there's
Hmm.
no way he can rule the galaxy.
He's a
So they're all,
tool.
yeah, he's a damn tool. Somebody's going to start manipulating him and everything else. So they don't know what the hell's going on. And, he even doesn't know. He's like, I never wanted this. I didn't want any of this. Um, and now I've got to be, king when Dreadstar shows up. And, he's like, who the hell is you? He says, I'm the person that kills your uncle. He just comes out and tells it. I'm the person that kills your uncle, and I can do the same to you, or I can be your friend, and bring peace to the empire. So the choice is yours. I can either kill you or we can be friends. So uh, he picks the prince picks the easiest choice there. We'll be friends.
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah, that's much better than you killing me. So once they agree to that, you know, Dreadstar pulls out his damn sword, informs him that he means business, and then politely shows him to the damn desk that's in the office, and has got an enormous like layout of plans. He's like, all of these plans are what you're going to do to bring peace to the galaxy.
Hmm.
And he goes on and he says, when you travel, when you step back from a wartime economy, there will be some losses and some hard time, but this training and other side, it'd be a drain on the coffers But once we get people trained, we'll be able to transition to a peacetime economy, and then everybody will make their money back, and it'll be, much more beneficial to the galaxy as a whole, and everybody will get their money back. Of course, and the prince is like, hey, the corporate powers are going to try and kill me if I do this. And Dreadstar just tells him, he says, I'll protect you from them. Don't worry about it. And I'll kill them too if they don't, go along with this plan. Um, because
And I'm going to go visit them,
yeah,
like, like spirits of Christmas present, past, and future tonight.
yeah. So the prince finally agrees. He's like, okay, I'll do what you say. And he disappears. And of course, the prince is like, holy crap, this guy just disappeared. He dematerialized in front of me and left in a completely locked room and all.
With only one door.
Yeah, only one door. And he's gone. So this guy's obviously super powerful. And then we find
he thinks he wasn't there. He goes, but then looks and sees all the plans that the physical plans that Dreadstar brought with him, and he's
that's where he's loses his mind. Oh nope, they're still here.
I'm like, oh shit, Dreadstar from Luke Skywalker to a Sith Lord
in 48 pages.
Yeah. We ain't got time to fuck around.
So now we meet up at the bar where he's talking to Ziggy, and he explains the whole thing, and we find out that Ziggy's actually the guy that used his transportation ray to get him in there and get him out. So that kind of helped him.
Yeah, it was a transportation spell that he taught him. So it's like a low level spell.
So he's like, yeah, so now we're going to move on and go and do this to the galaxy and save everyone. And, of course, they kind of talk about their plans here. And, this won't bring Delula back or anything, but it'll give me the vengeance I wanted and, give people, a life they can believe in. And then at the end, we get a little quote at the last scene. Might we not live in a nobler dream than this? And that's it. The book kind of goes off. Which then
it ends at a point where it's like, okay, now you, the reader, use your imagination to figure out what happens in the future of Dreadstar.
Yeah.
Except Jim brings it back as a very successful indie title.
Yeah.
Years after this.
It was Eclipse, wasn't it, that it was published at?
It started in Eclipse. Yeah. I don't know if it moved to another publisher afterwards, or if it just stayed with Eclipse. Like I've got a couple of single issues, and I think I got like one of the trades.
I got a big handful of the single issues, and I think it's Eclipse. And then I've got the mini series 1 through 6. It's like Dreadstar and Company.
Yeah.
But
there was a time where there was a big resurgence of all these like 80s kind of like indies, like superstar titles.
Yeah.
And they were trying to bring them. They were trying to like bring them back a little bit. So they started releasing trades of like Dreadstar and Grimjack and Scout and a few other things and DNA Agents.
Yeah, DNA Agents was good. I mean, there's so much in this 80s time period that was really wild. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it come from, the guys that were mentioned in the beginning of this book.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then there's other people that weren't even mentioned here. I mean, I will say I mix up but they look so much alike. Warlord and freaking Dreadstar. You know, they both have that kind of
Warlord,
look.
Dreadstar, Oliver Queen.
Yeah,
It's all the same guy.
it's all the same guy, just different time periods.
You know, like I was talking to, I had physical therapy earlier today. I was talking to the therapist about, shows to watch, and I'm like, I go, I don't have Amazon Prime, but I really want to watch Reacher. She's like, oh, I've watched that with my boyfriend. It's really good.
Yeah, I watched all
And
of it. Sure, it was good.
and she was like, Liz, I really like that actor. I go, I bet you do. I go,
Yeah,
I know that actor, but I know that actor because I'm a nerd.
yeah,
Because that actor played Aquaman on Smallville, and then played Hawk of Hawk and Dove in Titans.
yeah. I saw that he played Aquaman, and I was like, he's awful big to be Aquaman, but okay.
Well, Smallville Aquaman.
Yeah.
He was just cut then. He wasn't cut and jacked. He got jacked for playing Hawk on Titans.
Oh, did he? But yeah, it was Reacher's good. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, the story, the Dreadstar story, like I said, is really good. The ending makes me literally want to go find more of it and read it just to see what the hell happens.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to find. I doubt they did it, but I'd like to be able to, get it like in one volume.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing too. I know it sounds terrible. You don't like them, but if you find it, if you hit it right, you could probably pull most of them out of the dollar boxes.
Hmm.
Because once again, they're a bunch of '80s comics that we will enjoy and love to read that people don't read. I mean,
So,
I,
speaking of '80s comics, did you run by your antique store this week?
no, I haven't. I have been so busy with work and everything else. I haven't. Um, I did buy a couple online that come in. I got some more Swamp Thing comics that come in.
Oh, nice.
Uh, Volume One. They were better condition than what I had, so I ordered them, and
So
I'll have them.
I've got I've got a package coming in from Collector's Haven, another package. Uh, this one has two more Marvel graphic novels.
Oh, sweet.
One, I forget what the hell it is. The other one, I could not forget what it is because I didn't have, with all the Elric I have, I did not have the Marvel Elric graphic novel.
Yeah, that was it Roy Thomas and Pete Craig Russell?
Hmm.
Isn't it Pete Craig Russell? Yeah, yeah, I've read
Oh,
it.
and Russell's artwork is stunning.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I
So,
saw if we keep on the Marvel graphic novel kick, I did see one that I want to read um, that I don't have, but I want to buy me a copy. Um, it's one of the things I've been looking for. The Hulk versus Thing, like Hard Knocks or whatever it is.
hmm,
No, Hulk versus Thing, Big Change. That's it. By Lin Win, and I think no, not Lin Win. It's Michelin, I think. Michelin, and
David
the
Mission.
art. Yeah, David Michelin, and the art is by Bernie Wrightston. It's a later graphic novel,
Nice.
but it's a whole thing.
So, I fell down the rabbit hole because there's two guys that I mostly buy
Yeah,
from Collector's Haven, which is like Dash, who's like the English guy who's been Americanized, but uh, still calls soccer football for some reason. I don't know. Uh, and he's on like early in the day, and I don't really buy any modern comics anymore. But I was mad I missed out on the newest Moon Knight. 'Cause of course, Moon Knight's going to be hot, and I guess for the first time in the comics, the villain that they're going to use in the TV show had his first appearance in a Moon Knight comic this past week.
Really?
So that's super hot. And then the new Strange series started, which made me laugh. 'Cause the guy's like goes, "Yeah, it's the first appearance of Cleo." I'm like, "The fuck it is." Cleo appeared back in the '60s. You idiot.
Yeah, I did pick up that new issue of Doctor Strange with Clea as the Sorcerer Supreme.
So I
Uh,
missed. There was a really cool one that was kind of like a throwback with like the skull behind her,
yeah,
that I wanted, that I didn't get, but I did get one of the J. Scott Campbell covers, and I got two of the Archerm covers.
oh, cool. I think I just picked up the regular cover.
And
It,
I got that weird Batman cover that came out this week that looks like the multicolored Batman. Like he's got like all these weird like orange and red and green or whatever on his costume.
it's the Rainbow Batman from the
No, not the
'60s.
not the rainbow. It's not Rainbow Batman. I think it came out of Dark Universe or something they've been doing with like Dark Knights or whatever. McFarlane just made a figure of him. I'll have to read it. But he was on the
That
cover and it looked cool and it had a bunch of ha 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 stuff on and whatever. And I'm
that
like,
Man Thing figure, not Man Thing, Batman figure that McFarlane's working on looks awesome.
speaking of figures, let me bring this up. I didn't even know Migo was working on this. Uh, but
Oh, that's sweet.
so these are coming out from Migo, and I will just 26 points of articulation, Deathstroke. Of course, the weapons are all in black, and it's not. It's kind of a classic costume, but it kind of isn't.
Yeah,
The bandolier is different, and he's got the he's got the Glock on one thigh, and a machete knife falling way down on the other one. Uh, you know, if it was the classic one, he would have like his firing staff, and the sword would be like different colors and stuff. But it's only a $19 figure, so it's $18.99. I think this is one of the new I think this is the new S type body since 26 points of articulation. Uh, there's the art on the back, of course. Marty Abrams' very young picture in the little circle. And then,
Batman tomorrow or Batman Beyond.
yeah. But it's just weird because it's like, oh,
The head looks too big.
not only the head looks too big, but why is he wearing pleather? I didn't know you looked like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Batman Beyond. It's different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, maybe there's like a cool little action pose thing going on. Sadly, the gun is out of focus, but it looks good. I'm like, oh, now I really need to see how many comics I can hurry. Well, I gotta hurry up and sell a bunch of comics because my girlfriend picked me up 4 more McFarlane figures today. I gotta pay her for. Uh,
God.
so I need to sell stuff. Uh, but yeah, I definitely wanna order. Um, maybe not the Batman Beyond, but I'm probably gonna want to order like 2 Deathstrokes because I'm gonna want to take one out of the package and play with it.
Oh God.
Yeah, it looks that good. Frank Wojo from Retro is now taking orders for these two new Mego figures, $18.99 a piece plus exact shipping. ETA May of next year.
It's a long while.
Plus, he's got a full complement of Wave 14 available, plus a bunch of other figures. He sent me a list. He DM'd me a list of what was available.
Did he?
Yeah, it was. Probably don't need to see that. But so I bought a couple of books, and I'm not a Venom fan, but I guess some new like Carnage version has appeared in like the new Venom. But the second print, I guess, of issue 2 has his first cover appearance, and you know how these speculators are. I go, okay, I'll take one of them, so I should be able to sell that quick. It's like I don't want it. I just know it's a first cover appearance. It's worth money. No, not really. No.
I just buy what I like. I mean,
on Andy's show, I bought what I liked. Like I bought a couple of other things off Dash. I had spent so much money on Andy's show, I felt bad because he had a cable #1 that was signed by who I now refer to as Artie Bear, who was actually, you know, oh my God, Art T-Bert.
okay.
His nickname is Artie Bear. Art T Bear. So he had a cable #1. Hey, the first Red Dress Diaries cover will be priceless. That's an inside joke. I'll let you know about that later. But he brought out the Treasury editions from the 70s again. Now, I haven't gotten an invoice yet, which is the only thing that stopped me from buying one of the old Conan Treasuries today.
You know, there's like 4 of them, right?
Yeah. This one was like $25. There was a Batman one that looked minty fresh that was only $25. But the other day he brought out the Superman Spider-Man team up against Dr. Doom and whoever. And I'm like, oh my God. It was like $55. I'm like,
It's not a bad price if the condition was good.
and then he brought out a Hulk one, which was $50.
Which Hulk?
Which reprinted the Hulk Warlock story.
The Hulk World. Oh, reprinted the it reprinted Hulk 178, 79, I think it is.
Mm-hmm. But also in there is a brand new Hulk Hercules story.
Oh, sweet. Now I did not know that. I'll have to look at that
But $50.
one. Yeah.
What I did get was I bought 4 treasuries. He had the oversized Star Wars Treasury 1 and 2. So the #1 I got was a Whitman reprint. And the #2 I got was the regular one.
Okay.
He had a near perfect #1 that was the Marvel one, the Marvel printed one. And he goes, well, which #1 do you want? You want the Whitman or do you want the Marvel one? I'm like, I want the Whitman one. Because the Marvel one, he was asking $75 for.
Good gosh.
I let that go. I got like a VG copy of the Buck Rogers in the 25th Century Treasury, and one other that I kind of forget now. But I'm going through the math in my head. I made $200 from selling all my Guardians of the Galaxy pops, because the Drax that was in there
Yeah.
was worth some money. And so somebody I know, her daughter loves Guardians of the Galaxy, watches both movies religiously, like at least once a month. And so she bought the pops for her daughter, and I had like three different group. I had like the regular group, the regular first group that they made. Then I had like the the dancing group and the loot crate group in there. So she gave me $200 for like all the pops, and I'm like, cool. I get rid of them and get some money, and then realize that
I
I
just spent it all.
I spent most of it. It was like between both shows, I'm well over $100 that I spent like in a day on comics because I bought treasuries. But plus, finally, the store in Texas that I was getting the Bad Idea books from
Yeah.
finally got all the issues of Odin's Eye in that they were short on. Like they bought them off of other dealers and stuff.
Yeah, you were telling me that.
So I just got a bill in from them. It was like just about $50. So I paid that. So that's on its way. I got another package from Collector's Haven that'll have the Elric and some other stuff that I snagged that I forgot about. So what are we gonna read next week?
All right. Next week, I actually have bought this. I broke down finally because I couldn't find one at the Chattanooga Comic Book Convention.
With only two dealers?
I only had two dealers, so
Mm-hmm.
I had to buy this online. This is the one of the only like say first 50 issues of the original Punisher series that I was missing. Number six. I'll get you a picture of it.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said, yeah. Let's take a look at this. I should recognize the cover.
Oh, the
I wasn't collecting it, but I saw it I saw it every week. I was working at the shop when it was
oh,
coming out. So
dude, I freaking the early Punisher series. The first series is so good. I mean, it tails off toward the end, but
yeah,
it
it's
is.
it's good. It's good to a point, and then it's like, okay, been there, done that. Got the T-shirt
Yeah.
covered in blood. Spaghetti all covered in blood. Blah 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 blah.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
the toxic cover.
Yeah. Punisher number six. Writer Mike Barron, penciler David Ross, cover artist was Kevin Nolan and Mike Mignolia. Talk about two great tastes that go great together. Atomic plot sets the Punisher on a global course in garbage, but first castle was to prevent nuclear fallout in New Jersey. What's bad about this is I'm going to try desperately not to want to read the next issue because the next issue is Terror Over Times Square. When Lord and thank God it's not safe for work. We've warned everybody. But in the next issue, if you've never read it, which was done in 1987, um, Muslim terrorists try and blow up New York City in Times Square, and it's all on the cover of the book.
Now, was that before or after that actually happened?
I can't remember when they first attacked the World Trade Center. First attack on the World Trade Center. Let me look it up. Oh my God! I guess Google's listening to us. No, it was before. The first World Trade Center bombing was in 1993, February 26, 1993. That's when they drove it into Tower One and detonated the bomb on the North Tower. 1,336 ton urine nitrate hydrogen gas enhanced device. So this book's 87. So it's like freaking 5-6 years before it happened.
Marvel, we're not supposed to give the bad guys a blueprint.
But yeah,
just like Washington, 1984 isn't a manual.
1988, it's not a manual. Yeah, because this moved forward. That's number 7. Nuclear terrorist over Times Square.
Well, now.
A plutonium sale could spell absolute disaster for Times Square's Punisher races against the clock to neutralize a terrorist plot between ex-CIA and a pair of radicals. I'm telling you, dude, if you did not read especially say the first 20 issues of Punisher, the continuing series, you was out. We've read 10 on here because 10 is the one where he fights Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
And that had art by Jim Lee, but the art here is even awesome too. But it's on the way. It's in the mail now. So they're going to send me a copy of 6, and I'll be able to file it away. But even later on, as the series tanked a little bit, but then you had some Euro hit stuff, which had like Nolan was doing the art on it. And there's actually a run called, it's like issue 70 to 75, called Suicide Run in the first series that, oh God, I just lost his name. Not Adam Kubert, Joe Kubert. Joe Kubert did that entire series. There's like 5 issues. It's like a little mini series with Punisher. He drew it and laid it out and everything. But yeah, I'll get you 6 over, and depending on how good it is, I may send you 7 because they'll probably be quick, easy reads.
Yeah, we'll just do both of them. Why not?
just understand. Will not be safe for work. It will not be politically correct because this is 1980s Punisher.
Mm-hmm. It's never safe for work because I'm here.
But that cover is so good. Cover's amazing. But yeah, I'll get it over to you, and then we'll get back next Thursday.
Yeah, same bat time, same bat channel.
Same bat channel.
So until next time, folks, read a comic book, would you?
Yeah, do something. Let us know.